We all have gifts. We all have talents. Now, the key is understanding those gifts and talents and how to share. Blessings, my sisters and brothers, and welcome to the Law of One. I am Robert, humble messenger. It is such a pleasure to speak with you. Now I wish to share with you conscious channeling of LL research. I am Quo. Greetings in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. It is a great privilege to share in this circle of meditation and seeking and to see the earnest hearts of those who wish to express their unity of all that there is in the very life that they lead. We are aware that the illusion is a heavy one and that missteps are inevitable and frequent. We urge each always to turn again in hope, to try once more, to be undiscouraged by circumstances, but simply to abide in this feeling that fills this dwelling place at this time, the unconditional love of the one infinite creator. The third density is not a density in which wisdom plays a great part. It is the folly of men to believe that there is wisdom in third density, and thus one may see the ideal of justice, an ethical, philosophical idea, which does not take into account either the nature of the illusion, the purpose of the illusion, or those entities which have come to self-consciousness within third density, illusion. In any real sense, there is little observable justice, for the plan which each has created before the lifetime often deliberately includes difficult, unfair, and painful circumstance. And the more spiritually ambitious an entity is, the more difficult the lessons that entity came to manifest will be. We speak this evening to those whose worldly ambitions are a cipher, a nothing. This has been decided. This leaves the mind free, regardless of whether work is done in the mundane world or not, to ponder and contemplate those philosophical and spiritual questions that you may have. This is a great head start that you have over people who are torn between the world and the cosmos, between this life and infinity. Those who have awakened, such as you, to their true desire to be of service to the one infinite creator by loving each other, are so often in the difficult position of having to adjudge their own service in the absence of any support whatsoever. This is especially true of the mated relationship and the raising of children. There is no greater or more sacrificial service than the raising of young souls, attempting to offer to those souls that information which is grist, not only for making one's way in the mundane world, but for becoming aware of eternity. Becoming aware that so-called human beings have a context into which they fit. They are not the be-all and the end-all of evolution. Evolution moves steadily on, and the progress after third density is all spiritual. Within this density, you still need more of the personality in order to deal with the heavy chemical vibrations. More and more, you will see yourselves as a spiritual discovery, finding and refining that truth which is within you until you become aware of your nature. Becoming aware of one's own nature may or may not sound simple. It is not simple, in our estimation, unless one has the gift of faith, as this instrument does, and simply bypasses the intellect, moving instinctually towards intuition and what this instrument calls purified emotion. For the most part, entities wish to do something which is of true service to the Creator, and it seems logical and right to entities who have observed great spiritual figures of the past and present to wish to be great spiritual figures and to be of service in that way also. We can even seek dramatic publicized service to others, and within the limitations of mixed context, since there is ego involved in such hope, such channels are able to do much good to bring many souls to an awareness of the mystery that underlies all that there is. We always say to each that we do not wish to become a stumbling block, and we wish you to take only that which makes sense to you from what we say. And no matter how inspiring, if confusing, we ask that you release and forget the information, for it is not your personal truth at this time, and there is no need for you to change and struggle and strive. The spiritual path is one of allowing things to occur, for you have planned well. Each of you would be unable to incarnate at this time upon this particular sphere were it not possible for each and every entity to graduate, either service to self or service to others, third density. That is, each has the opportunity of learning to use a denser and much enhanced cohesion of light. In this atmosphere, as the instrument has often said, thoughts become things. And as you are entering at this time into fourth density space-time, thoughts are becoming things over and over again. The negative emotions involved with lifestyles that are not helpful to the entity through anger, through feelings of rejection, and so forth, cause much illness, much unhappiness. It is difficult for the person who comes to this information as a neophyte to imagine that he or she could be of equal service to those who heal or teach or channel, for the latter three are somewhat dramatic. The entity, if positively oriented, is relatively without ego, as you call the need to impress or to control. We would like to extend this idea to form a true picture of spiritual service in third density. Perhaps the greatest spiritual service you can do is to center and meditate and think upon the Creator lovingly, gratefully, emotionally, in a purified and inner way, not letting your prayers float to the four corners of the room in which you are so that entities may hear you, but rather stepping into that inner room and listening in silence, waiting for the presence of the Infinite One. The difficulty for those within your culture is that people identify service to others with certain specific skills, which we would call dramatic skills, such as the vocal channeling and the healing. It is our opinion that each and every entity who has incarnated at this time upon the earth has a beautiful, loving, and right service to perform. Planned beforehand, planned in such a way that one may be continuously rocked and buffeted by the winds of change that accompany realization. This is true whether or not the service is the greatest service of all, that of knowing who you are and of vibrating in that knowledge consciously, or of non-dramatic service. This is what confuses your people. It is your people's idea that some services are greater than other services. This is true only insofar as some desires to serve are purer than other desires to serve. It does not matter what is in front of your face. What is in front of your face is your service. If you can allow yourself to flow intuitively in the river of consciousness, you yourself will let yourself know, yes, I wish to do this, or no, I do not wish to do that. Therefore, we suggest that in order to find out one's gifts, one do several things. Firstly, if one is of some substantial age and has had many experiences, it becomes extremely easier to gaze back over the incarnation and see the pattern of lessons to be learned. One kind of lesson will occur again and again and again until you have mastered and balanced your ability to serve under those conditions. Basically, each entity goes through a lifetime process of accepting the unacceptable, of forgiving the unforgivable, of loving the unlovable, of consoling the inconsolable, by pardoning one in error, even when that error has cost you greatly. It does not seem to be a service to be a parent or a breadwinner or any of the other myriad non-dramatic ways of living possible. What sets the spiritual seeker apart from one who simply lives in the mundane world without questioning as to eternity is that realization of the present moment as eternity. That idea which says, I can have time spent with the Infinite One. I can feel its love and its light. These experiences are meaningful to me. This creates an atmosphere within of trust so that one may gradually relax and allow the rhythm of life as you have planned it to overtake you. It is not well to pray and affirm in the attempt to control the life, because that which is upon the surface of your mind is as the tip of the iceberg, and those things which are deepest within take some time to express themselves through dreams, visions, or instant realizations after. Some entities move quickly, others more slowly and more surely. All that we suggest to each is that each remain within the integrity of the self. feeling the selfhood of the self, feeling the discrimination and the thought processes of the self, so that as one listens to all of life, whether it be the weather report, a symphony, or a channeling such as this one is listening with an ear to pray for the lost, to rejoice with the joyful, to give thanks for those who have had blessing, and to console those who are wretched. Any form of loving one another is that action which expresses what this instrument would call the Christ consciousness, that which is deeply buried within you, that with which you are, to some extent, acquainted, but perhaps more to the point of being able to love without stint, to give without thinking, to spend all one's energy, time, talent, and what you call money with the spiritual life centered and in the mind. It is possible to be of tremendous service while washing your dishes, for as one washes the dishes, it is a waking meditation. The gestures are automatic, and it is possible in the meantime to be in a state of light meditation and listening, or in a state of contemplation, or in a state of intercessory prayer, where you are concerned for the health and the well-being of those you love. Thoughts are becoming things. Your prayers are heard more than ever. We find that it is unfortunate that entities who are upon the spiritual path that does not include Orthodox religion tend to wish that they may be of this or that service rather than allowing service to come to them. It will come. It has been planned. It may not seem dramatic or large or important, but the dish washed for the love of the one infinite creator is a dish washed in a bath of love, as well as soap and water, and that love radiates and lightens the consciousness of the planet. This is your greatest service, each of you, and you do it within the unmanifest being with no one to know, no drama, and no announcement of having done so. You are working upon your evolution, and from third density forward, all evolution is spiritual. Thusly, we would back up and look at how one may abide in faith and have the patience, the persistence, and the faith to wait and do what there comes before the face to do. That and that alone, for that instant, is all that is needed. It is never known to you when you have truly succeeded and when you have failed, nor is it important. For if you do anything for the love of the one infinite creator, that radiant thought, however poorly the action manifests, is a purely positive, loving, and caring thought, and will add to the consciousness and the lightness of your sphere. Entities within your culture are much bemused by gadgetry, much in love with foreign places, ambitious and restless and yearning, and thinking that what they hunger for is better money, a better position, more power, or more clout in some way. This is not the objective of living this particular incarnation in this particular density. You are attempting to drop that of yourself, which does not seem to be loving, not in overcoming or repressing it, but by balancing it and understanding it within the self. This is a difficult thing to do, painful for those with any sensitivity, for as you know, all of creation lies within you. You are all that is. Circumstances may have made it possible for you to move through the incarnation comfortably or uncomfortable but honestly, or comfortably and dishonestly, or uncomfortable and dishonestly. Yet, within each and every situation, no matter how unpromising, lies that which may be a certain knowledge, a certain determined hope, in that which is unseen, that the situation before one's eyes is exactly what it should be, and painful or wonderful is giving you what you need to take in and work with as catalysts at this time. Each upon this planet at this time had a hand in creating the life pattern. Once one has discovered the lessons that one has set oneself, it becomes easier to see tiny moment after tiny moment and small detail after small detail take on an aura of the spiritual as one seeks within such situations to find a way to manifest love where there is no love. Light where there is no light, and union where there was discord. We may say because each is aware that each is a wanderer who has come to this planet at this time to be of service to those who are attempting to graduate, who are not able to accept the consolations of any organized religion. We do not claim to be a religion, a church, a dogma, or a doctrine. We are those who have had experiences with the Creator, who have grown closer and closer to the Creator, and who expect to have quite a way to go before we are able to dissolve once again in the ocean of unmanifested love. The cycle is as beautiful as the beating of a giant heart, and the fact that anything that one does could not be one's service is to us improbable. Subjectively, one may feel that one has erred, made mistakes, been thoughtless, and so forth. It is well in those times to continue positive thinking and move quickly towards a state of forgiveness of the self and of the one with whom there was conflict. Perhaps the second greatest service upon your planet at this time, or at any time in third density, is the responsibility of parenting young souls who know and seek the truth with childish voices and squeals of laughter. This particular service is looked down upon by most as being the lot of the one who is too lazy to work. We find the concept ludicrous in that children and a home are a great deal of work. There is no boss, there is no judge. There is only the parent attempting to be of service to the young one. And we may say that it is our opinion that the most helpful thing spiritually in the service of raising children for the children is either to bring them to any organized religious group for interaction with people of their own age, and teachers, or, and this is undoubtedly preferable to many, to create a worship service within the home that is done daily and without comment. Emphasis is not put upon such spiritual discipline. It is picked up by young children as that stress or emphasis which protests too much. Happy are the parents who are settled in peace together and who may sit in meditation or whatever form of spiritual practice is desired, each and every day for a short time. This moves into the child's subconscious as that which is. And in our opinion, this is the truth of that which is. That is, that the Creator is within everything. It is impossible not to serve if one is loving the Creator while doing the service. At this time, your planet is very polarized. Very positive entities gaze upon the havoc created by very negative ones. The negative entities gaze back at those who are polarized towards the positive and see what this instrument would call suckers. We urge each, therefore, to allow those things to happen which happen, and to ponder them and ruminate on them, and even analyze them, if one is of an analytical turn of mind, at the end of each day, that one may remain clear, confident, and calm, centered in the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. We know of no other way to explain to you the difference between your view of service and our view of service than to say that to us there is no lifetime lived that is not potentially a life of service if things within it are done with a love of the one infinite Creator and in the love of the one infinite Creator. This is not easy medicine for entities to swallow. Wanderers especially are quite certain they have a mission. Indeed, the mission may be a humble one. There are no missions that are not humble. Some seem to be more than humble services because they are dramatic, such as this instrument as she speaks without knowing what word will come next. This is interesting to people. A tightrope act, and therefore dramatic. Will the instrument lose the contact? Will the acrobat fall off the slim, round, slippery wire upon which he is walking between the present moment and eternity? You are here to bring light to a dark world. It is as simple as that. The purpose for which wanderers incarnate is all one. To love, and to love, and to love, and to love. You will be hurt, broken, humiliated, and defeated in the course of a life in faith. It runs directly counter to the culture in which you live to do things for an ideal reason. To focus upon the Creator which is unseen, rather than all of the phenomena, all of the gadgetry, all of the amusements that are so delightful upon the surface of life in your density. Be aware that even in those situations you may choose to be of service by moving constantly into an awareness of the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. But also, and most of all, be aware, we ask each, that non-dramatic service is as vital as dramatic service. Just as the mouth of any entity speaks many things, but would not be able to function without each and every other organ of the physical vehicle. which must be kept in some sort of balance in order that one may manifest any gifts whatsoever. We may say that there is one thing that we would not advise in attempting to be of service and finding one's niche, and that is to attempt to control the process. The conscious mind has very little in it compared to the unconscious mind, in which lies the roots of mind and the Creator itself, covered over and over by distortion, but there, perfect and whole nevertheless, each one's true nature. Now, we would suggest to this group, as it is doing somewhat advanced work, that it is simply practice, the presence, as it moves about the daily activities, not berating the self every time one realizes one has not thought about the Creator for hours, but simply turning again and again to its simple idea, the desire for the love of the infinite Creator to love each other. Almost any situation which seems difficult involves a lack or a loss of love. Hearts that are not open to the love and the light of the infinite Creator can be mean and petty, hurtful and vicious, all in the name of service. Better it is that you do nothing, but sit in one place and send love, than be active and confused and somewhat negative, as well as positive, by desiring to control what happens to one. For in the desire to help someone, there needs to be the realization that one must come to a halt within and admit that one does not know all that there is to know about service to this entity, that one will need inspiration and intuition, so that one may call upon these deep resources of the self, which many call the higher self, the Holy Spirit, guardian angel, or inner planes master. All these sorts of entities exist. The difference between them is only that of outer plane third density and inner plane third density. Those within the outer plane may come from other planes. Those within the inner plane must have at one time been incarnated upon this particular sphere. Thus, be aware, we ask you, of the service that you provide by your very consciousness, by your love of the sunlight and the dampled shades of autumn trees, by your love of the immensity of the universe and its non-mental mystery, by seeing life itself as sanctified, a blessing which oftentimes seems a most uncomfortable and inconvenient blessing. Now, how shall you reach that point of faith where you refuse to accept that you are not of service and simply continue to be of service? As this instrument has said many times upon its own, due to its own experience with its intelligence, the intellect has almost no help to give a spiritual seeker. For those truths which will be helpful to one will be recognized from within as personal truths. Thus, we urge each, while listening to us or any other spiritual-oriented being speak, to discriminate carefully, not in terms of intellectual right and wrong and so forth, but in terms of the intuitional feeling of recognition or non-recognition of truth. Each has a different path. This thing that is common to all paths in third density is that you are learning how to love and be loved. This is the foundation of a social memory complex, which shall be your next lesson. That is, to see all that there is in each mind. And in each mind is the mind of the murderer, the rapist, the robber, the revolutionary, the despot. And yet, except the self and all others for the nature which has been given them, in order that they might make choices with free will. It is very important that there be negativity and difficult experiences, that one may learn the humility of one who allows, observes, and then acts, rather than reacts. To take the life into one's own hands is not to take control of what one wishes by affirmations and prayers unceasing. It is rather to realize that the plan has already been made. The pattern has been set. It is the best pattern you and your higher self could create for you. And all that you need to do this time is allow yourself to be upon the path upon which you are. Keeping your eyes open, watching your feelings, finding ways to manifest love. The smile upon the street, the kind word to a stranger. This instrument is asking us to allow this to end. However, we wish to make one more point before we leave. The instrument itself was concerned with its many gifts and its lack of desire to use the gifts of creativity in an intellectual or physical manner, such as the music, the dancing, and the creative writing. In fact, all of these gifts are being used in the life pattern. It is simply that the gifts are being used to support that one thing with which the channel has been concerned and involved within its entire life experience. That being the living in a poem, the making of a beautiful tapestry of a life as a gift to the one infinite creator. That being the living in a poem, the making of a beautiful tapestry of a life as a gift to the one infinite creator.